joining. Carl, Mr. Workman's here, Dominic and Marco, good evening. I still just am blasted that we can do stuff like this. You know, I mean, it's just awesome. I'm standing out here in my house in California, you guys all around the world. And today we're going to be looking and learning a little bit about Google Tag Manager. And so now let me just say, I am not a pro with Google Tag Manager, but maybe I know a little bit more than you. So I'll probably explore some features of it that I pretty much got it working to what I needed and didn't really explore all the features of it. So I don't know, maybe I can jump in and do some of those. We can explore some of those features together today. But yeah, I thought that would be fun. Coincidentally, I actually saw someone post yesterday, or was it this morning, about Google Tag Manager. You wanted me to do a podcast on it, and I had already scheduled on doing a live stream today on Google Tag Manager. So pretty cool. Make sure that you go ahead and ask any questions, and at the end, if we have any time, maybe we can open it up for any other questions. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in. Hopefully the live stream is going pretty good. I see I'm streaming at 30 frames per second. Hopefully I haven't seen anyone comment on my audio in the chat room yet, but hopefully that's good. You guys can hear me. If you can, just give me a quick thumbs up. That would be awesome. Okay. Another thing I did, I switched up my monitor configuration a little bit, so hopefully it's a little easier to see everything today. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy moving. Okay. There we go. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, so right now, so I guess I should start off with saying, what the heck is Google Tag? Like, what is a tag? What is Google Tag Manager anyways, right? So essentially Google Tag Manager is it's a way of, all those little embed codes that we have, right? So it's, the Google Analytics or whatever analytics you're using. It's maybe some sort of like little chat widget that you have, or some, anything that you have that gives you like a little JavaScript snippet that they say, put this, in your head, or put this in the body, or something like that, right? Any of those little JavaScript snippets, are considered tags. Okay. So not sure why they chose tag. It's kind of weird, but anyway, that's what they are, right? So that's what Google Tag Manager is. It's all about managing those tags. Now, why would I want to do that? Because those are easy enough just to pop inside my RapidWeaver project, right? But like, what if in the future you want to add something, or you want to remove something? And basically what you'd have to do is you'd have to go in your RapidWeaver project. Now, RapidWeaver's made that easier over the years, right? We have like the global area inside your RapidWeaver project, so that you can put in that little snippet of code, and it'll publish on every page, right? But what if you want it on every page but not some other pages? And what if you want to add a new one, basically, and then you have to put a new embed code in there, or if you want to remove one, and then you have to republish your entire site, right? And sometimes republishing an entire site can cause headaches, right? I mean, it can, because maybe, I don't know, something's changed in a stack, or right? It's just inevitable. If you don't have to republish your site, why do it, right? Which is a good thing. So now what we need with Google Tag Manager is Google Tag Manager will give you a single bit of code that you put in RapidWeaver, and then basically you tell Google Tag Manager all of the various embed things that you want. And in the future, if you want to ever add or remove something, you know what? You just remove it from Google Tag Manager, and it will stop loading it on your website. So pretty cool stuff there. Really exciting. So me at the left is nicer. Okay. So Google Tag, this is my Google Tag Manager. We'll just go in and you'll get a peek behind the scenes. There's nothing really fancy here. but this is my Google Tag Manager setup for Weaverspace. Okay. So what's kind of cool is you'll notice over here, it says, it'll kind of tell you what I'm editing. I don't have any current edits going on. I have, live version 3s, right? So what's kind of nice is if we go into the versions, we'll see that, Google Tag Manager will actually version your stuff. So if I ever, add a new tag or create or delete a tag or anything like that, or modify something, I can basically revert to an old version and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's interesting. Probably, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if how useful the versions are for me, because it's kind of like a set it and forget it sort of thing for me. But yeah, I mean, it could be interesting for different, obviously larger scale implementations could definitely be good. So we'll go back to the workspace here. We can add new tags, which we'll dive into. Then you can put in like a little description. And then this is where it tracks all the changes that you've currently made before deploying, right? So what we're going to do now is I thought it'd be fun. Actually, let's go ahead and look at what I currently have, right? So if we look at what I currently have here, this is the current version that's deployed on my site. And we'll see that I have a Facebook pixel. I have some Google Ads stuff, Google Analytics, Help Shelf, which is the little widget on the bottom. I have LinkedIn. And then I have a tag for what's called a trigger. Okay. And what a trigger does is, let's say when I log into my admin pages, I don't need all of these things because my admin pages for Weaverspace are just for me. I don't need to like load Google Analytics, or I don't need to load Help Shelf and all that stuff because it's an admin area, right? So we'll look at this trigger, but essentially what that does is it only loads particular things if we're not on an admin page, right? Okay. So we'll see these are all the tags, and we're firing on the trigger, not in admin view. Okay. And here's my triggers. So what I'm going to do right now is, here's where we can see all the versions. Okay, so I clicked on versions. This is where you can see all your versions, right? So we can see I was playing around, and then I did some changes. And I remember on version 3, basically I added the ignore admin pages. But if any point in time I wanted to kind of go back to version 2, I can click on version 2. I can see everything that's in it, right? It's affected on all pages and stuff like that, right? So, and if I ever wanted to, I think I could do, what's kind of cool is you can go to a version and you can preview it, right? So here, let's just do that now. I'm going to go preview, and we'll say start preview. And what this does, at least what it should do, is if I go to, I wonder if we have to be in Chrome for this to work, actually. Google does a lot of stuff that only works in Chrome. And it might, because normally what happens is it'll when you're in preview mode, basically Google Tag Manager will put in like a little bar at the bottom of your site. For some reason that's not working right now. Okay. Anyway. So I guess starting from scratch, what you'll want to do is you're going to come in here, and you'll have no tags set up. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to add new tags. Okay. And you'll click this, tags, add new tag widget. And, if we want to add there's two different types of, I don't know why they have triggers and tags inside the create new tag thing, but then one's called a tag and one's called a trigger. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but anyway, for tag configuration, what's kind of nice is they actually have a ton of pre-baked ones, right? So they already have like Google Ads. There's going to already be, I think Facebook's already in here. All right. Facebook's not, probably because Google versus Facebook, right? But LinkedIn is actually in here, and a bunch of other stuff, right? So there's common pixel codes that you can enable or disable, easily. And if your particular piece of embed code isn't here, they have custom HTML, right? So I did that. Obviously, like Help Shelf is a smaller thing. So you just click on custom HTML, you paste in your embed widget here. Okay. Actually, for fun, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I haven't deployed this on Weaverspace yet, but I'm just going to, this is totally off the hook cuff. I wasn't even planning on doing this, but just to kind of show you an example. And this is, where's my login? Where can I log in? I think my browser window is too small for the menu. Hold on one second. It is. Let me log into this site really quick. Okay. Boom. I just bring that back over here. Okay. So this is a site. Let's say I wanted to install this on my site. This is just oh no, that's not what I want. Where is it? Oh, configuration maybe? Ah, here it goes. Okay. So do it, yes. No. Change, no. Okay. Circle. No. Okay. Oh, just for right now. Let's say I'm not going to go through this entire wizard. Let's say this, I wanted to insert this particular embed code on my website. Okay. This is a app called Swarmify that I'm playing around with. I haven't deployed it on Weaverspace yet, but it allows me to essentially, it's a video CDN that will allow me to auto import stuff from YouTube, which is kind of cool. So what I do is I would just go into the Google Tag Manager. I would call this Swarmify. Oops. Swarmify. Okay. And there we go. And then if I wanted, I can add a trigger. Where do I want to trigger this? That's what this trigger is for. This isn't where you can create the triggers. My bad. Okay. So do you want this on all pages or do you want this on non-admin view pages? Right. So we'll look at my triggers in a little bit. But here I want this to load on all non-admin pages. Okay. And then you can do stuff like add exceptions, and you can have multiple triggers and stuff like that, which is interesting. I just say keep it simple, right? So we have, here's my tag, and this is where it's going to be added. It's going to be added to all non-admin pages. And I would click save. Oops, unknown error. Try that again. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So what's interesting is now that I added this tag, okay, we have in this blue area on my dashboard, it says one added. What this means is I've added the tag, but it's not actually deployed to my website. Okay, it is not deployed to my website yet. Now, what I should be able to do is I should be able to hit this preview button, and I should be able to preview what if this tag was added to my website, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click preview and say start preview. Let's go over here. I load this now. How come that doesn't work? Well, let me close some of these tabs. Oh boy. If we go to preview, maybe I think you have to, maybe you have to add something to the end of the URL. Hold on one second. Let's preview this. The console window will appear only the same browser that you've enabled preview mode. I'm in the same browser. Do I have to enable developer? I know I've gotten this to work before. To enable preview mode in current workspace, click preview. Tag Manager will show a banner across the top of your workspace overview page to indicate preview is active. I don't have that. Not there. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and, Google is awesome. So a lot of times stuff like this works better in Chrome. So let me just go ahead and let me load a new Chrome window here. And hold on one second. Let me, oops. We'll just go to Tag Manager. Tag Manager. No. Why is it trying to log into my son's account? What the heck? Okay. Here we go. Google Tag Manager. Let's see if this is going to work now inside Chrome. New feature deploy. Okay. Dismiss. Conversion link or dismiss. Okay. So I'm going to click preview now. Let's see if this works inside Chrome. Aha. Interesting. Man, yeah. Anyway, if you want to use that preview feature, apparently that only works in Chrome now. So now if we go to Weaver Space. Okay, here we go. Man, why did Google do that? So if you enable preview mode while you're in Chrome, apparently only now, and then you visit your website, again, this will only work on you. So if you guys go to Weaver Space right now, you're not going to see this because it only works in the same active browser that you're logged into Google Tag Manager. Okay. And here you can see what tags are fired on the page, right? You can see if you had variables. I haven't really played with variables. That's something we can look into. On the data layer, you can see kind of what's loaded, if there are any errors, and you can see what versions. Well, it's loading a previewed version, right? So anyway, this is kind of interesting. You could see that it did load the Swarmify code, right? But this does not. The Swarmify code won't be loaded on like your browser window because I haven't actually deployed that yet. So it's kind of a really cool way to test out new embeds as well, right? So yeah, pretty cool. There we go. What are these over here? Window load. I'm ready. These are just page events. Oh, that's interesting. So if I had tags that weren't fired, like maybe I had some sort of trigger on this page, what tags would not be loaded. It's interesting. Okay. I guess we'll stick inside here. Then I'm going to leave preview mode. Okay. So if I go back here now, let's refresh that. And look, all that's gone, right? Because I'm no longer in preview mode. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Cool. So now, you can go ahead and keep editing stuff. You can add new tags, whatever, right? Let's look at some triggers. So the default trigger is all pages, right? It'll load everywhere. Let's look at this trigger that I created here. So we can have a trigger type. So if I have a page view, if I trigger, there it goes. So if you click on that, because you can have different types of triggers, I guess, saved in here. You can say trigger on some page views, right? And then where the page path does not start with admin, right? So on Weaver Space, obviously I have Weaver Space /admin. It's all protected, so you can't go to it. So if you go to /admin, basically any page that isn't /admin will load this trigger, right? So that's essentially what this does. Let's go ahead and add it. We'll create a new trigger path just to kind of see what the new trigger things are. So because you can trigger off a lot of different things, not just page view, right? So we can trigger again off page view. So if you click on that, where you have some page views, and you can see if the page host name, if the page path, the URL, the referrer. So that's kind of interesting where you can say, am I being referred from Google? Am I being referred from, yourhead.com or wherever, right? So that's kind of interesting. Then you can also use variables. Again, I haven't really played around with variables at all. So yeah, there's that. Okay, let's go ahead and how do I delete this? Okay, so then we can do DOM ready. How do you explain DOM ready? So DOM ready means when to load particular things after the web pages have actually completely loaded, right? So we don't want to load things before the web page, so it's only going to load after the web page, right? Because the DOM is basically the HTML on the page and all of its assets. Okay, so after all the CSS and all the JavaScript have been loaded, this event will be triggered, and you can say all DOM ready events or some DOM ready events. That does actually some DOM ready events. That doesn't make sense to me. You're either DOM ready or you're not. I'm not sure about that. Interesting. Okay, window loaded. That's after everything, not just HTML and JavaScript and CSS have loaded, but after all images and everything else. Okay. Here's some interesting stuff. You can enable stuff on clicks. So if we say we want to click, you definitely don't want to do all clicks, right? Because yeah, that's just going to be bad. Here on some clicks, this is interesting because obviously this is some sort of like, you don't do some clicks on, I guess if you clicked on a URL that is invalid. See, exactly, invalid filter type. This is weird. I'm going to do new again. I'm going to do click all elements, some clicks. See, it's saying that the filter is invalid. I guess for these, you can only do it off of variables. Okay. So we'll look at variables in a little bit, but let's continue looking at some of these. Element visibility. So oh, here, by the way, click all elements or just links. So do you want to click on so if someone clicks an image, or only clicks a link, right? So that's the difference there. Here we can do based on form submission, scroll depth, which is interesting. Okay. You can do it based on a YouTube video, based on element visibility. That's interesting. So element visibility is if this particular element is on the page, then do it, right? So there's a lot of stuff here. Custom event. I'm not sure what custom event is. Doesn't really give us any extra things. So I guess what this does is you give it an event name and you do a regular expression match off a variable. I don't know. I guess we'll have to look at variables to kind of play with that. Oops. Oh, if there's JavaScript errors on the page, after a timer. Oh, so you can do like oh, that's interesting. So you can say after a certain number of milliseconds, then load it. Interesting. And what's a trigger group? Oh, a trigger group allows you to add, I guess, bulk triggers, right? So you can add multiple triggers into the same thing. Okay. So that's interesting. So anyway, I'm not sure if you guys need all of that complexity, but it's quite interesting. I mean, you can do a lot of really powerful stuff in terms of optionally loading various things on your pages, and only load those things when you really need to, because if you don't have to load extra JavaScript libraries, which sometimes load extra images, which load JavaScript on top of that, just like a YouTube video itself, like just a YouTube video, adds a lot of weight to the page. If you see what all the JavaScript that's loaded in the background for that, it's pretty nuts. So obviously that's a YouTube video is only going to load when you have a YouTube video on the page. But just an idea of the massive amount of JavaScript and CSS or images that you don't have any control over, right? I mean, if you go to Page Speed Manager and you look at a lot of the performance reports, I mean, especially on Weaverspace, right now, I've kind of got to the point where it's I can't make it better, because what's kind of stupid is it's Google Page Speed is telling me that about errors that I need to fix for JavaScript files from YouTube and from Google Analytics. Come on, Google, get your act together. You're warning me about stuff that's coming from you, right? So it's kind of ridiculous, but just it shows you that, you know, with this kind of tool, we can optionally load that stuff and only load it when we really need it. Okay. So let's look at variables. I have not played with variables at all, so this is completely new to me. Obviously, these are built-in variables. So we have an event, the page host name, right? The page path, the full URL, and then the referrer. So let's look at what user-defined variables are. Again, I have no clue what this is. So we can do a cookie. We can run some JavaScript. Is that what that is? Interesting. Change value, convert to, oh, interesting. So you can run some JavaScript and then output a variable. Interesting. That's kind of crazy. Stay here. Data layer variable, JavaScript variable. The value is set to that global. Okay, so if my page loads a JavaScript variable globally, then this can reference that variable. Interesting. Okay, a lot of this is pretty advanced stuff. Undefined value, all that's JavaScript. Oh, page variables, they're all from JavaScript. Auto event variable, no clue what that is, and there's no documentation on it in terms of, oh, at least right here, like there should be like a little help or a little description about what that is. DOM element. Okay, so what this? Let's see what this is. Okay, this is interesting. So, this is what we'd use like in that trigger where we said trigger this if this DOM element is on the page, right? So what you could do is you can give it an ID, okay? And then I guess you can do attribute name. The attribute name is set. What attribute though? Oh, interesting. Okay. You can also do CSS selector, right? So so basically you can then do, I don't know, dot hello or something like that, right? And if you added that hello class, right? Since I know a lot of you are Foundation 6 users, right? You know, that class can just be added straight into here. So then if Google Tag Manager ever sees any of that class on the page, again, you can't just put the class name, you'd have to put a dot for if it's a class, right? But yeah, that's pretty slick. I like that. I think that could be useful because a lot of times you'll only want to load particular things on the page when some sort of element's on the page, right? Like maybe, I don't know, load a MailChimp embed form only when a particular footer element is on the page or something like that, right? Yeah, some interesting ideas there. I think that could be useful, definitely. Element visibility. So I guess DOM element is if that element exists on the page, but maybe it could be invisible. And element visibility is if the DOM element actually exists, but it's visible. So Google there's because it could be hidden on the page as well. So maybe you only want to, you know, trigger something based on whether or not this element is visible or not. Okay, that's pretty interesting. Let's see, a utilities constant. The value is set to a string you provide. Okay, you can have just like a variable, a string. Custom event. This value is set to event name XYZ when the following code website is executed. Okay, so basically, if you had code on the page that pushed that event, so this would be basically kind of like a custom API from JavaScript, which is interesting. Environment name. So this is, you know, if you had production, live, test, stuff like that. Okay, regex, random number. Okay, interesting. I don't know the use case for all of these things yet. You can look up a cookie, which is good. You know, I think the DOM element things could be interesting. Even myself, like the custom JavaScript thing, that seems very advanced. I can't think of a real good use case for that right now. But yeah, I see this DOM element or element visibility interesting. Potentially this custom event thing. But yeah, interesting stuff. Okay. Discard changes. Okay. So we went over tags. So we saw what tags we have. I added this new Swarmify one. I have triggers. So I have one custom trigger for myself. That's just if a page is not in the admin view. Then we have variables, which we kind of went over. I don't really have a need for those yet. We have folders, and folders just to simply allow us to organize things. I don't have that many tags, so I'm fine with just a single list. Okay. And templates, I really have no clue what templates are. What's this? Let's look at the gallery of what a template is. Import tag template. Interesting. Let's see if there's anything in here that I actually use. I haven't heard of most of these companies at all, so let's see if there's. Oh, here's a template for Facebook Pixel. And inject scripts. Okay, interesting. Okay, so essentially, because Facebook doesn't have a out of the box tag, someone created like a little template, right? Which is interesting. These are kind of like, well, these are exactly like Stacks templates, right? So someone created a bunch of tags and triggers, and then they saved it as a template for you to for you to use, which is interesting. So it could be a time saver. Obviously, make sure that anything that's in there isn't malicious, right? And that it only contains the code that you want, right? So don't just blindly trust these templates because they are just kind of out there on the web, right? Snapchat. What does Snapchat do for the web? Interesting. Okay. I don't want to install any of these. I personally would just build it all myself, because this just seems like the wild, wild west. And if you're not stringent and really look at what these people put in the code, I'm sure there could be some very useful stuff in here, but there could be dangerous things as well. Let's look at variable templates. This could be interesting. Cookiebot consent state. Interesting. Reads cookie values. Allow cookie name, cookie consent. Interesting. I wonder if this requires that you use some sort of service. I don't know. This is something I could definitely look into. Play around with some of these things. URL builders, URL parsers. Maybe give you an idea of other advanced things you could do with kind of Google Tag Manager, which is kind of slick. Okay, so we're kind of reaching the end. I mean, there isn't too much left to Google Tag Manager, right? So if I showed you how we can add a bunch of tags if we wanted to. Let's go ahead. I want to keep that Swarmify tag in. Oops, I don't want to add a new tag. Let's go to my tags. I wonder if you could just like disable something. I'm going to go here. Like, I don't want any trigger at all. Okay. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to save this in here, but I actually don't want it ever added to any file. So that error that it displayed saying, hey, if you don't have any triggers, this tag's never going to be fired. And so, I mean, since I've already added it, I'm going to keep it in there because I kind of want to show you the deploy process, but it's actually not going to get added to Weaver Space because I don't have a trigger, and I'm okay with that because I don't want it on there just yet. Okay. And actually I'm going to go in, I'm going to do a few things like, I won't keep those. Okay. So then I could preview this again if I wanted to, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click submit now because I'm ready. I've gone ahead and I made sure that everything that I've done, I've previewed it and everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and submit this. So if I click submit, we can publish and create a new version, or we can just create a new version and not publish. Okay. So I'm going to do create new version. Here. Okay. Before I was just doing like version 1, 2, 3. Maybe you should do something a little bit more elaborate because version 1, 2, 3 wasn't helpful at all. Right. There we go. Okay. So once I've done that, I have a new version. I put in a little notes to myself so that I know what I was doing here, because a year from now or 6 months from now, when I come back in here, I'm going to be like, what did I do? I don't know what version 3 is. That was really horrible of me. And I hate Past Joe for putting something generic like version 3, because that really isn't helpful at all. So I can go ahead and say create now. So it's creating a new version. Twiddle our thumbs. And there we go. So that's loading. Oh, interesting. It called it. Oh, okay. So it called it version 4, but at least it did put in my little information. So now that we know that, and it shows you here, it shows you what changed. So we can see that Swarmify was added. And then you can see all the tags that are in here. You can see all the triggers, if there's any variables or templates and stuff like that. So pretty cool. So if we go back to my dashboard, what you'll notice is the live version is still version 3. Okay. But the latest version is version 4. So I have not published this latest version to my website yet. And I'm okay with that for right now. Okay. But if at any point, if I wanted to go to my versions, right, I can go and say publish. Okay. I'm not going to do that right now, but you can go ahead and publish that. And what it will do is it'll add that. So, it'll publish all those tags and whatnot. The current version that we have here and set up will be loaded on your site. Cool. I let's see what's in admin. This is so how do we install Google Tag Manager? I guess that's kind of an important thing, right? How do we get that on on RapidWeaver? The easiest way is from the dashboard. You click on this link right here, and this gives you two methods. Either a JavaScript snippet that you can put in. Now it says put it as high as possible in the head. I say bullshit. Okay. And I put it at the very bottom of my body. So yeah, the reason for that is I want all of that JavaScript and all those assets to be loaded after my web page. Does that make sense? Right? Because if you put this at the head, this is going to run and execute immediately when the page loads, which could be good for like analytics perspective and stuff like that, right? And maybe that's why they have those triggers for like DOM ready, so that some things won't load until the very bottom of the page. I just say, at least this is my personal opinion. For me right now, I take this, I don't put it as high as possible in the head. I chuck it in the bottom of my body, and it'll then load. I still get Google Analytics stuff. I still get, maybe the page load stuff might be slightly off because it's loading after some of the content on the page is being loaded, but I'm okay with that. I don't really need those metrics on analytics. I can measure how fast my page speed is and whatnot. So I prefer to have it load at the bottom because I don't want it slowing down my page at all. I want to ensure that my content is getting served to you, the end user, as quickly as possible. And I don't want any sort of third-party things to get in the way of my content loading for you. Does that make sense? Okay. It has this additional thing. Basically, if you think people don't have JavaScript enabled on the browser, you can chuck this on the page. Most people are going to have JavaScript enabled. If people don't have JavaScript enabled at this day and age, your website is probably going to suffer. So, but if you want to make sure that people are who don't load JavaScript can still have something loaded, and you still get some benefits, you can chuck this bottom snippet onto the page as well. Okay. So yeah, that was it. I don't think there's really much else in admin. These are all kind of generic website admin stuff for my account, which we're not going to dive into. So I hope that was kind of interesting. It's pretty simple interface, but I think it's very powerful, right? Again, just to show us that we can add one embed, one code snippet to your RapidWeaver projects, and then manage it all through this interface. Yeah, it's pretty slick. I wish there were other alternatives, to Tag Manager, but right now, Google does a pretty decent job with it. So, and you can't beat the price. It is free, so good stuff there. Okay, let's. I've been ignoring the chat room. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, getting a coffee. Add them all. Okay. Any other questions? I ended up finishing a little bit early. But either we can end early today, or we can chit chat about some other things. Totally up to you guys. Okay. Yeah. Anything special I can preview or show you guys? Not really. I'm been working on some behind the scenes stuff a lot this week. I guess one thing I will tell you right now, I have not made this public knowledge yet. So keep it hush hush. You don't have to keep it hush hush, but Del Fligra. So delfligra.com. I've taken over his company. So over the next few weeks, I have a few other things that I'm kind of in the middle of working on. So I don't know when exactly I'm going to get everything transitioned over. But yeah, if you own any Del Fligra stacks, you're going to be supported by me now. So and eventually over time, I'll start moving those products over to Weaverspace. So yeah, he has a lot of really great stacks. A lot of really powerful ones. I know people love his stacks. They have a lot of really great settings. There is some overlap between some of the stacks that I have. I haven't decided which ones are going to stay, what's going to leave. Will I migrate? I don't know yet. So if you have a lot of his stacks and you have questions about that, I don't know the answers to that yet. But for right now, everything will still be supported. And pretty soon, within the next couple weeks, I'll be really announcing that and kind of formulate a game plan for how that's all going to happen and the transition and all that stuff. So it's not my first time. I've taken over other developers in the past. It's been a few years since I have. But I wanted to make sure that, the customers of Del Fligra weren't left hanging out to dry, that were, they had to look for something new because, he had a lot of really good stuff. And hopefully now we'll be able to not only keep supporting those, but make them better and migrate them over to Weaverspace too. So really exciting stuff. So anyway, if there are no more questions, I want to thank Paul and the Goat Prince, Alan and Gaston and Marco and Charlie and Scott and everybody. Commander Joy joined in. Thank you, Commander Joy. And Rion, thank you for joining today. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you guys this Friday at the Hangouts. Those are always a good time. And thanks for posting on Weaverspace. I've been away on family vacation for a few days, and there's obviously the activities just jumping. Everyone's really excited about Foundation 6 and all the cool new stuff they're doing and integration with Total CMS. The Foundation 6 menus in Total CMS have been it's been really cool to see what people have been making with that, because you can now, dynamically build menus based on Total CMS blogs, which is pretty exciting. And I can't wait to see how that's even more powerful when CMS 2 comes along. So really cool stuff. So anyway, thanks guys. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Go out and make something great, and we'll see you over on Weaverspace. Bye.